Most men spend their entire lives chasing a dream that was never meant for them. They believe love will complete them, that a woman will save them, that happiness lies in being chosen. So they give everything, time, money, energy, even their sense of self, just to be wanted. But in the end, most are left empty, used, or controlled. And the worst part, they never even see it coming. Almost 200 years ago, a philosopher named Arthur Schopenhauer shattered this illusion. He exposed a truth so uncomfortable, most men still run from it today. He saw through the lies, through the fairy tales, and stripped love down to its core. What he found wasn't a beautiful connection between souls, but a cold, biological trap. A trick played by nature to make us reproduce. That overwhelming desire you feel when you think you've met the one. It's not magic. It's not fate. It's your brain calculating fertility, genetics, survival. And women, though they're wired differently, are running the same hidden program. But if you don't understand it, you'll keep playing a game that's rigged against you. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear will flip everything you thought you knew upside down. Schopenhauer once wrote, "Love is the ultimate goal of almost all human effort. It is more important than anything else in life." But don't be fooled by how poetic that sounds. He wasn't praising love. He was warning us. To him, love wasn't a blessing, it was a manipulation. A clever illusion designed by nature to enslave us to reproduction. That high you feel when you're falling for someone, it's not divine. It's chemical, temporary, brutal. It grips you, blinds you, then vanishes once its job is done. And when it fades, so does everything you thought was real. Look around. How many men have wrecked their futures, destroyed their dignity, or even ended their lives over women who walked away without remorse? How many relationships collapse the moment passion dies? That's not bad luck. That's biological programming. Women aren't choosing based on who loves hardest or stays loyal. They're wired to seek out dominance, strength, and the illusion of safety. If a man can't offer that, his love becomes invisible. Schopenhauer saw this truth with chilling clarity. Women are not driven by logic or fairness, they're ruled by primal instinct and emotion. This isn't bitterness or hate. It's simply the uncomfortable truth that most are too afraid to face. Just open any dating app and you'll see it. 80% of women relentlessly chasing after the top 20% of men. It's not an accident. It's a reflection of evolutionary programming. Status, power, dominance. Those are the currencies that matter. And while the average man believes effort and devotion will win hearts, reality spits in his face. In courtrooms across the world, commitment is punished. The man who gave everything walks away shattered, financially drained, emotionally broken. This isn't a flaw in the system, it is the system. Even history confirms it. Empires fell because rulers chased the illusion of romantic loyalty. Kings went to war for women who later betrayed them without hesitation. That cycle isn't new. It's ancient, wired deep into human biology. Yet most men are still clinging to a fantasy that love is a two-way street, that if they just try hard enough, sacrifice enough, and prove they're worthy, they'll be chosen. But Schopenhauer shattered that illusion with one ruthless truth: to be loved, one must not be just, but clever. In other words, being good is not enough. Women are not programmed to respond to kindness alone. They are magnetically pulled toward power, not just physical strength, but the aura of control, status, and unshakable confidence. The good guy, who tries to please, who bends over backward to earn affection, is rarely respected. Not because he lacks value, but because he doesn't understand the laws of attraction. He plays the wrong game, believing love is something you earn by serving. But women are not drawn to servants. They're drawn to leaders. To men who walk in purpose. To those who demand respect without begging for it. That's why the good guy finishes last, because he never realized the rules were never fair to begin with. Have you ever wondered why a woman's warmth turns cold once she feels she's secured the man? Why the dynamic flips, and suddenly the one who pursued becomes the one being ignored? Schopenhauer called this shift the tragedy of possession, a brutal truth that still applies today. The excitement, the hunger, the emotional fire, it was never about love in the fairy tale sense. It was about conquest. The chase is what activates desire. But once the chase ends, once the target is captured, the chemistry fades. The instinct that once drove her toward you now begins to search elsewhere, for stimulation, for challenge, for novelty. That's the biological script most men don't see until it's too late. They think love is maintenance. They double their efforts, send more messages, give more attention, hoping to reignite what once was. But clinging only accelerates the loss. When a man makes her the center of his universe, he collapses into emotional dependency. And nothing kills attraction faster than neediness. Yet here's the truth most men miss. This isn't a matter of blame. It's not that women are heartless or cruel. It's nature running its program, indifferent to your heartbreak. The man who wakes up to this reality doesn't waste energy pointing fingers. He evolves. He stops living in delusion and starts designing strategy. Schopenhauer never preached bitterness. He offered clarity. His message wasn't to despise women, but to stop worshipping illusions. Love, in its rawest form, isn't a fairy tale. It's a transaction governed by instinct, opportunity, and leverage. And in every negotiation, the one who enters from a place of need, of weakness, of blind hope, will always lose. But the man who understands the rules, he doesn't chase, he builds. He doesn't beg for attention, he commands it. And that shift in posture makes all the difference. But this is just scratching the surface. Because the next revelation, it's even more unsettling. It exposes the hidden structure behind why modern men are being systematically outplayed, not just in love, but in power, purpose, and perception. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's the turning point where most men wake up to the gut-wrenching truth that their entire understanding of attraction, value, and identity has been built on a lie. Schopenhauer didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't dress it up with feel-good slogans. He exposed the game for what it really is, a game rigged from the start, and most men don't even know they're playing. While schools, media, and culture preach equality and fairness in relationships, biology is playing chess with a completely different set of rules, rules that don't care about your effort, your intentions, or how much you deserve love. They care about dominance, reproductive value, and raw evolutionary strategy. And here's the dagger most men don't want to face. Women hold the primal advantage in this equation, not because they're manipulative, not because they're evil, but because nature designed them to be choosers, selectors, filters. From the moment they become biologically viable, their value skyrockets, not through effort, but through design. Youth, beauty, fertility, these are given early. Meanwhile, men start from zero. A boy has no worth until he builds it. His value must be forged through pressure, pain, failure, discipline, and wins. He is not desired for who he is, but for what he has become. That's the harsh truth. A woman's market value is front-loaded. A man's must be earned. So when a man walks into the dating world expecting fairness, expecting mutual appreciation, he's walking into a war zone with no armor. He's playing with feelings while biology plays with fire. And unless he understands this imbalance, unless he adapts to it, he will be crushed by it, again and again, until there's nothing left of his self-worth but dust. Schopenhauer was clear and honest. He said women are naturally made to care for children because, in many ways, they stay like children themselves, emotional, short-focused, and sometimes playful. This isn't an insult but a fact of nature. A woman's youth and beauty are her power, and she knows how to use it. Meanwhile, many men today are stuck in a confusing situation. They are told to be sensitive, but strength still wins in love. They feel judged for being masculine, even though that's what attracts women. Men work hard but often end up with nothing, facing divorce or unfair treatment. Schopenhauer understood this long before our time. Women often act like children, and men who don't see this truth suffer the most. Here's where things get truly risky. Today's women haven't just accepted their power, they've turned it into a weapon. Social media has created a world where attention is currency, and the average man is working for free. He tries too hard, circles around, and fights for tiny bits of approval from women who have no intention of committing. Why? Because he's been sold a false story that simply being loyal is enough. Schopenhauer saw this trap long before dating apps or social media influencers existed. Women are often conditioned to be unable to give genuine, unconditional love. It sounds harsh, but it's true. Female love depends on usefulness. A man isn't loved for who he is but for what he offers. The moment he stops giving, her affection fades away. This isn't bitterness, it's biology. Women are wired to choose the best mate possible. If a man stays stuck, she'll grow frustrated. If he falls behind, she'll move on. And society today only encourages her to do so. Schopenhauer split men into two clear groups, those who serve and those who are served. The beta male wears himself out trying to prove his value, while the alpha commands respect without effort. One pleads for loyalty, the other sparks obsession. This plays out everywhere around us, the office worker grinding away for a promotion, hoping it'll earn his wife's respect again. The guy who sculpts his body at the gym, only to find women want him for fleeting pleasure, not a lasting bond. The man who spends his hard-earned money on a woman who will disappear the moment someone with higher status shows up. These men aren't victims, they've chosen this path. But Schopenhauer didn't stop at pointing out the problem, he offered the answer. The key to survival is to accept reality as it is, not how you wish it to be. Today's successful man isn't the one clinging to old-fashioned romance, he's the one who learns to play and win the game. Here's the final truth. The game may be rigged, but only if you're following the wrong rules. This is where most men give up because the next truth is the hardest to swallow. It's not about women, it's about you. And once you confront this reality, everything shifts. Schopenhauer revealed a harsh truth that modern psychology now backs up. Women don't compete the way men do. They don't confront you head-on or show their power openly. Their most powerful weapon is subtle, instinctual, and incredibly effective: emotional influence. While men battle with strength or logic, women often fight with silence, tears, charm, and the skillful control of how others see things. They don't overpower you physically. Instead, they change the emotional atmosphere around you. They make you doubt yourself, alter what matters to you, and give up your control willingly. And most men don't even realize what's happening until they've already locked themselves inside their own prison. Schopenhauer warned that the man who places his emotional core in a woman loses control over himself. When your happiness, your self-esteem, and your sense of purpose depend on her approval, you've already lost the battle. She becomes the center of your world, the sun you endlessly revolve around, and in the process, you forget the fire that once burned inside you. But at the heart of Schopenhauer's philosophy lies a harsh truth: life is suffering, and desire is the source of that pain. When your longing for a woman leads you to sacrifice your own principles, you stop being a man and become a prisoner to a cruel illusion. This is exactly what nature wants. Your biological instincts drive you toward reproduction, not true satisfaction. And once nature achieves its goal, it leaves you to face the fallout alone. He saw it all clearly: the fantasies of romance, the endless social performances, the sacrifices men make without question. Schopenhauer didn't label women as villains. He understood them as beings ruled by instinct. The real fault lies with the man who understands this truth but chooses to live in denial. So, what do you do with this awareness? You don't sink into bitterness or despair. Instead, you rise to a place of strength. You refuse to play by a set of rules built to break you down. You rewrite the entire game. You become independent of any outcome. You stop needing her approval to feel worthy. You start choosing yourself first. You hone your mind, your body, your strategy, not to win her validation, but because you recognize that you are the ultimate prize. And when a woman encounters a man who stands firm, unattached to her approval, never chasing, never begging, driven by a purpose far greater than her affection, she will either be drawn to him or intimidated by him. In either case, the man is the one who truly wins. Schopenhauer's final message is his deepest insight: never sacrifice who you truly are for someone who wouldn't stand by you no matter what. Too many men lose themselves, chasing approval and trading their true purpose for a false sense of peace. But peace without power is nothing more than giving up. Understand this: female nature isn't cruel, it's ancient, calculated, and deeply rooted in survival. Once you see it clearly, it becomes predictable. Your role as a man isn't to resent this truth, it's to rise above it. Because when you stop begging for love and start demanding respect, the dynamic shifts. You no longer chase love, it begins to chase you.